services and the Ad Council.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.
Welcome to another edition of Real Family Talk. Hello. Welcome to another week of Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday evening. As always, I love Tuesday evenings. As anybody that listens to this program knows. Favorite night of the week, as they say. But we're going to jump in. We got some guests joining us tonight. Miss Jasmine Burney is joining us tonight.
Woo, Jasmine!
Woo-hoo-hoo. We got a new segment with Miss Jasmine Burney. It's called The Moment with Jazz. And so she's going to come on and talk to us a little bit. So we'll get to her. And then we have another guest coming on tonight, Mr. William Cunningham. He has a new site that he created, just launched in the month of April. And he's going to come on and talk about his new site. It's a crowdfunding site is what it is, a crowdfunding site. So we're going to listen to him tonight as well, man. Got a jam-packed show with guests. I cannot wait. Excited about this evening. But let's address the people who are actually in the building. How you doing over there, Mr. Jeremy?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. No complaints. Miss McCrae's in the building. How you doing, Miss McCrae?
Blessed as usual. What's up, everybody?
Awesome. And Miss Monica's in the building tonight. How you doing, Miss Monica?
Doing great.
Excellent. Wow. Last week we talked about Jason Collins.
Yes.
And this thing just has not, slowed down.
It's not. I saw the Oprah interview. Did you watch it?
I saw that he was on Oprah. I saw some of it, but I didn't sit down and watch the entire interview. No, I did not.
It's a good interview.
What I can't believe is just it's a big deal, right? First gay player ever. I got that.
Right.
But really, he's got calls from the president.
Yeah.
He's doing events with Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
He's on Oprah. Really?
Yeah.
Is it that big? I don't know if it's that big. See, I question if it's that big. I get that it's a momentous occasion, but come on.
I think they're pushing it. They're using this to push towards till June and say, hey, Supreme Court, look, the country is accepting. Look at all that's happening with Mr. Jason Collins and all the good things that's happening with him. I think that's all playing into what's supposed to be
a lot of movement towards gay rights and equality for people that, are gay and lesbians. And so I don't quite understand why because someone has come out, that this has become such a grandstand, momentous occasion. That if everyone they want to be equal, why are we, putting this, giving so much attention? It should be just like anybody else. So I can that's how I feel. But
I understand where you're coming from.
if you're saying that we're not treating you very equal, then why do you want so much extra attention than everyone else would get for, whatever they do in their career? So
I can see where you're coming from with that. The only thing I can say is it's sports. It's the manliness of the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, Hockey League, all those. It's the masculinity. Mm-hmm. And so you're matching that with the perception of what a gay man would look like. So it's that conversation that I think people are inquisitive about or trying to understand, and
I don't know.
It's going, and guess it's not going nowhere because more are coming.
I get that,
and they've already had that in the NFL before. They've had someone come out.
This is the first time.
Oh, not an active player.
Yeah.
That's why it's so big, because this guy, he's gonna get signed. Like, I've been reading a lot of blogs that nobody's gonna pick him up. Guess what? He's gonna get signed.
He's a 7
He's
foot
gonna be
center.
playing. Right.
I mean,
He's gonna be playing.
No, nobody's looking for him to come on the team and score.
Right.
But they're looking for him to come on the team and take some fouls.
Pretty much.
And give some fouls.
Size people up.
And put some people in the stands. Let's keep it business.
Yeah. He'll get picked up.
So, but yeah, man, I'm just, like I said, it's a big deal in the sense of, yes, it was the first, but, calls from the president, dinner with the first lady. I mean,
Bill Clinton.
Come on, man.
Chelsea Clinton.
Well, let me say this.
You could have called a few heroes in the army or something, bro.
Let me say this.
Jackson College did not need a phone call.
I just left Bible study, and Pastor addressed this. He said he don't care what's going on in the world, what the presidents say. The Bible says, be ye not transformed. Be ye not conformed, to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's instead of, there's that phrase, when in Rome, do what the Romans do. He addressed that. He said, but Paul said later on in Romans, he said, but be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So don't worry about what the world is doing. If you know in your heart it's against what God says, and that you stand on the principles.
Yeah.
There you go. And it certainly seems to be. I mean, you knew that, like Miss Monica talked about, gay rights and is a big issue. But I think, they're taking that whole platform, especially with him, and then they are running wild and like, we're going to get this out here. We're going to condemn anybody who doesn't agree with us. As they say, they'll go to your job and picket you because you ain't saying the right things. But yeah, I just can't. I'm blown away by the magnitude that the story has taken. Get it's a big deal, but I don't think it's this big of a deal. It really isn't. Not to the level, like I said, calls from the president, dinner with the first lady. Like that's just taking it too far. Oprah, I mean, come on, you was on Sports Illustrated. That what they got 8, 9, 10 million viewers. That was probably more people than watched the interview last night. Let's be honest.
Probably.
So I mean, you got press, you got the press, so you didn't need Oprah or anything like that. And if it goes the way you think it's gonna go, I wouldn't be surprised if Ellen's next. Steve Harvey's on the list probably somewhere, and the list goes on and on. So, this story will probably be out in front of our faces for at least a couple more weeks.
It is.
Before it dies and so that we can move on to the next thing. But real quick, talking about the next thing, we're getting ready to have our moment with Jazz. Yay. But who is in the building. Did you see the Heat last night? I didn't see the whole game.
I don't want to talk about it.
I didn't see the whole game either. I just saw the last little bit. Nate Robinson, the mouth, just run around and scoring on everybody.
Yeah,
but he doing what Nate do. Just shout out to him. But
you still, do you believe they're gonna take the series?
The Heat are gonna win.
Come on.
You know what happened? They hadn't played for 10 days. Okay, they hadn't played. They've been watching the playoffs because they swept their first series. So they've been practicing, and in practice, you can't recreate the speed of what playoff basketball really looks like,
or the intensity that how the Chicago Bulls
exactly.
bring it.
And then Chicago is coming off this fresh, their series. They're still fresh. It's gonna wear off. Trust and believe. This was the last game they're gonna win.
Got it.
I wouldn't say that. They might make it a series, but I'll say this: if anything else, it woke the Heat up. Like, okay,
yeah,
playoff time.
Pretty much.
Milwaukee, that was like a scrimmage.
Yeah.
They were like in high school when you practice the JV. That's what that was.
The preseason game.
Yeah.
Preseason game. All right, man. All right. So shout out to the Miami Heat. This is the only Florida team in the mix, so I guess we'll root for the Florida team in the playoffs. But it's time, y'all. It is time for a moment with Jazz. Miss Jasmine Burney is in the building tonight. How are you doing, Miss Jasmine?
I am doing very well, thank you. How are you?
We're doing. I'm doing good. The crew's doing good.
Good.
So go ahead. Tell us what you're gonna talk to us about tonight.
So our 2013 Florida legislative session just wrapped up last Friday, and they have spent months in legislative session determining what bills would pretty much be the law of the land for the state of Florida. And they have come up with, there have been proposals for all types of bills that, in my opinion, some are bizarre, some are necessary, and some of them I'm trying to figure out why they didn't pass. And then there are also some bills that I thought were already laws, but I guess they weren't. I guess it was just common knowledge or information that we thought we knew, but really didn't know.
Okay.
So I'll jump right into it with one that's pretty bizarre, and it's called the Wine Kegs Bill. Now, let me say this: these bills, some of them have passed, some of them not passed, and then some of them have already been signed into law. So I'll identify what has been passed and then what has been signed into law. If they've passed, they still have to go before a governor to get signed. So this bill was passed, hasn't been signed into law yet, but it allows wine to be sold in 5-gallon containers, repealing the current limit of a 1-gallon container. So you can walk into anywhere and get a 5-gallon container of wine out instead of the 1 gallon, because that's what we need.
Right.
Right.
That is a pressing issue.
That's an issue.
People are dying because they're hungry, but that is a pressing
And a
issue.
legislator somewhere in our state wrote a bill because he needed that. He or she needed that in their lives.
Wow.
That's that kickback coming from the
Yeah.
liquor company.
Yeah,
That's what that
exactly.
is.
ABC.
Hey, yo, how about you make something that gives us more wine, and we got you. We got your back
Yeah,
pocket.
somebody's getting a yacht.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Another one, the Personal Records Bill, and it makes it illegal to possess other people's information or personal information such as social security numbers and credit cards. This actually isn't even a law here in the state of Florida. And this is just a bill. More than likely, our governor is going to go ahead and sign that. But I found that to be interesting because I just thought that was already...
So you say that it makes it illegal to hold somebody else's personal information?
to possess another person's personal information.
Because currently that is not illegal.
So
Correct.
Interesting.
Wow.
I guess the illegal, I think what the law
It's
is,
bad, but
it
it's
makes it illegal to use. I think that is what the law is right now. But to possess someone else's personal information is the law. So I'm assuming if you have kids and they maybe be off to college over the age of 18, it doesn't apply. But if you have some random person's information in your pocket, that's illegal.
That could be a problem.
Yes. So death penalty bill passed, and it limits the legal arguments used by inmates sentenced to death and awaiting execution in an effort to accelerate the death penalty process. I don't personally agree with this. I have my own views about the death penalty, and I won't share them here. But I think that speeding up the process isn't necessary. I don't know if you all heard about the story today about the young man who was supposed to be executed, and they didn't. They actually, at about 12 noon a day, he was supposed to be executed at 6 p.m. They didn't execute him because they didn't have, at the time that he committed the crime, DNA samples, and now they have the ability to do that, and so they didn't execute him, and they won't execute him because of that. So
That's good. I
speeding
heard
up
about
that
that.
process may hinder a lot of people from actually proving their cases if they weren't done right the first time.
I'll just make a quick comment on that one.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind the law. Here's what I mind. I mind that, unfortunately, in the court system, it seems too easy to sort of railroad a person into conviction. And so because of that reason, the law is a problem. But I don't mind the death penalty. I think if you can give somebody the death penalty, I think you need to do it quickly, because why keep this person in prison paying for 3 meals a day and exercise and blah, 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 blah. For an extended amount of time, because most people on death row are there for 15, 20 years. So, I think that process is too long, but I think we need to check the court system and start making sure we're crossing all of our I's before we just drop the death penalty on a person. But I don't mind the law.
So the next bill is the texting bill. It makes texting while driving a secondary offense. An officer has to see another violation, like weaving or speeding, to stop a driver for typing or reading text messages. The driver then gets 2 tickets, one for the original offense and then one for texting. I'm curious to know how that officer would prove that that person was texting unless they saw the texting first, then waited for them to actually do something.
Right.
That's the question.
And that's what would make it.
How would you know?
I guess they probably drove up next to someone, saw them texting at the point of takeoff, and said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get behind them because I saw them texting. Let me wait for them to do something, and then pull them over.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's
You
how.
didn't turn
That's-
your
that's
light
gonna work.
when you change lanes.
Yeah.
So if you texting,
I think
you
that
better be
will
doing
open up
following
for
all the
some-
laws.
Right. Exactly. So here's another elections bill that passed. It expands early voting sites for the supervisor of elections and requires 8 days of early voting for 8 hours each day. It allows counties to expand early voting to 14 days for 12 hours each day, including Sundays before elections. This is really good, especially for those disenfranchised communities we talked about so much last year, not getting that extra day before election, or those extended hours to vote after work or before work. So this is a good one, and prayerfully it will go in and be passed as an actual law, but that's just a bill right now. The next one is an ethics bill. This one has been signed into law, and it bans legislators from working as lobbyists for 2 years after leaving office. It limits patronage jobs for elected officials while in office and allows Ethics Commission to garnish pay of officials who refuse to pay fines. I love this law.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Right.
That sounds good.
Because a legislator can leave office and then, ploop, they can have their own lobbying firm and push through all the bills that they want to get accomplished. Too much power, outside of office also. Campaign finance, this has been signed into law. It expands the powers of candidate political committees and eliminates committees of continuous existence. These are political action committees, or CCs. This is where candidates can have organizations dump thousands upon thousands of dollars in here with no limitations on them. So it eliminates these fundraising actions and raises the cap of an individual contribution from $500 to $1,000 per election for most offices except statewide offices and Supreme Court candidates. And they can only raise up to $3,000 per election. So if you have a county race, instead of limiting it to $500, you can now get up to $1,000 in contributions.
Okay.
And that has been signed into law. Disabilities. They passed a bill that replaces the term mental retardation with intellectual disabilities in state law. I think that's nice. Now, I don't know who's going to use that. And
Is it necessary, though?
Well, it actually, I think it has a lot to do with the change of the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistics Manual that therapists and psychiatrists use. And they're now changing that from 4 to 5. And so there's been a lot of diagnoses that are changing, and I think mental retardation is one of those. Okay. So that's probably why they did that.
Well, that's not a bad idea. Here's one that actually failed. This is gun control. It did not pass. And it mandates that only licensed It mandates that only licensed dealers can sell guns at gun shows. So you don't have to be licensed.
Wait, that did not pass?
No. Did not pass.
Gun industry is, that's big money.
So if I have
Very
a
big
collection
money.
of guns, I can show up to a gun show and sell them?
Freely.
Wow.
Without a problem.
Get your hustle on.
Now the onus is on the actual person to be able to purchase that gun from you. Some Joe Blow off the street can't just come in and get the gun. They've got to go through the necessary chains that they need to. But you can go ahead and sell a gun all day long.
Wherever you get it. Pick it up off the floor. Just
Sell it. Wow.
Here's another one under gun control. And this passed. It prevents people voluntarily admitted to mental institutions from possessing firearms.
No, see, that's a good one. You don't like that one?
I don't know. And I'm an exceptions person. Now, what if you were admitted into a mental institution because of a domestic violence issue and you were deemed mentally unstable?
But that's probably somebody you don't want a gun because, truthfully speaking, now, I would think, and I don't mean to disrespect anybody in this statement, but you would be on edge more than likely, and so because you're on edge, if you had a gun, it could set you off to do something that you would not normally do if you weren't on edge. It
gives you that sort of power that you didn't possess before, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I can see that.
Exactly.
Well, I think a number of people that actually get admitted into crisis stabilization units are usually suicidal and have some form of mental instability, whether they're schizophrenic or bipolar or what have you, and that's why they were Baker Acted to begin with. So I actually, to some degree support this, because if they are mentally unstable and perhaps they did have some type of medication regimen and they went off of that, who's to say that they will not get off of it again while they have a possession of a gun?
There you go.
Okay. Here's another one, background checks, and this failed. It requires a universal background check for all gun sales. So that did not pass.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Did
Wow.
not pass.
Wow.
You know, they feel like it's an assault on guns, and so gun lobbyists are pretty much attacking anything.
Yeah.
To get a
The reason
background?
you think about the reason why the mental health one got through is because a lot of people who committed, you know, these crimes in recent months that are so popularized about, you know, why we need gun control are mentally unstable, and so that's why that got passed. But this other stuff, nah,
Yeah.
they're not gonna let you get on them guns.
Yeah, they
man.
submitted a total of 10 bills and only one passed under gun control.
But I'm trying to understand what's the harm in getting a background check?
Well, there are already background checks in place, if I'm not mistaken. So this is something on top of what's already in place, which is
Again.
why they're fighting it.
What's the problem with double
They're
checking?
probably saying that the rules are already strict enough for people who get guns. Why make it even harder? But
Right.
then you see the issues that we see in the community,
Right.
and you're saying, well, okay, let's create a law that addresses mental illnesses. And that will take care of those people. So that's that. We have 5 bills, actually, that were submitted under this guns bill portion, and it related to stand your ground. All 5 of those failed.
Okay.
The first one repeals controversial stand your ground law, which provides immunity to people who use deadly force in self-defense.
Okay.
The next one limits stand your ground law, so clarifying that it does not apply when innocent bystanders are hurt or killed. Expands stand your ground protection to people who fire warning shots in self-defense. Limits stand your ground law, clarifying that police can detain a suspect and mandating law enforcement to track all stand your ground cases. And this one clarifies that stand your ground defense does not apply to aggressors in an altercation. So all of those bills failed.
Wow. Even the repeal of the stand your ground.
They all failed. And they have this little listening tour that's going around the state right now to talk about how we can make stand your ground better. And it's been going around actually since the Trayvon Martin case, and I haven't seen too much fruit of that, but hopefully we'll see something with the case getting ready to come up. We'll see what happens. And I'm interested to see where they're going to get the jury from.
Right.
That's a whole other story.
Okay.
Can't be Florida.
Anywhere.
It's gotta be somewhere else.
So here we go. We have healthcare laws. Sick leave. This bill passed. It bans local governments from requiring employers to provide sick leave benefits for their workers and does not affect the living wage ordinance. Now, this bill was created for Orange County because last year we had a group called Organize Now go out and collect, it was an Earn Sick Time campaign where they went out and collected 50,000 petitions to get a sick ordinance placed on the November ballot of last year. And Orange County did everything they could by illegally taking text messages, private conversations with lobbyists at Disney and all types of places. And they took it all the way to court, and the court said, you have to place this on the 2014 ballot. Well, we end our 2013 legislative session with the bill that overrides what our county law states, and it clearly says that it will not allow local governments requiring employers to provide leave sick time. So this is for someone who works in the service industry, you work at Universal, a restaurant, you want to take off time from work because you have a sick child, and you're earning this, you earn an hour for every 37 hours that you work. So it's not like it's a whole lot of hours, but you don't get any time off, you just, whatever you don't work, you don't get paid. So that's that bill.
Wow.
Medicaid expansion. This bill failed. The House and the Senate could not reach an agreement on how to expand coverages for uninsured without expanding Medicaid, each rejecting a plan championed by the other chamber. So what this simply means is they were looking for a plan to expand Medicaid to millions of people in the state of Florida who did not have coverage previously, and neither sides could agree on the bills that were brought forward. And now we have Obamacare coming up next year. Next year, 2014, it's going to be mandated that everyone have health insurance. And this is going to require people to now have to go out and pay more than what they would have had to. With Medicare and Medicaid, you don't pay anything. This would have covered those people who are in between and really need this coverage. So unfortunately, it did not pass. So one more under healthcare. Medical marijuana. It did not pass.
Oh, man.
I know. This would have legalized the use. It would have legalized the use of marijuana for medical reasons. John Morgan is going around the state of Florida. He has a campaign right now to get medical marijuana on the ballot, and I'm pretty sure it's a fully funded, well-oiled machine. And so
if John Morgan's out of it, it's probably going to make it eventually.
He's saying his father used it. And so he's seen how powerful it works for his father, and he knows it can work for others. So he's trying to make sure that he gets this out to everyone who needs it.
John Morgan got the clout to make it happen.
Yeah, he does.
The clout and the financial.
So that
backing
says
to make it
no?
happen.
Yep, it failed. They did not pass it.
Yeah. Wait did John Morgan get an A?
Okay.
Let's go check. John Morgan is trying. He's if the rumors are true, they say he's going to get Chris back in the office.
Yeah, it's a
So
possibility.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I don't
As
put
a
any-
Democrat now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Democrat.
Yeah, he's
don't
been
like
on
it.
3. so-
Right. Right. Sit down.
It's not going to be Rick Scott. They're going to put him in office.
I know.
That's how that's going to go.
So here we have, higher education. There is a preeminence bill. This has been signed into law, and it provides additional funding for the state's 2 highest ranking universities, University of Florida and Florida State University. Now listen to this bill, and this bill failed. So they've signed into law that previous bill I just read. This bill failed, and this was immigrant tuition, and it extends in-state tuition to U.S.-born children of undocumented immigrants.
And that failed.
It failed. So that means that the anyone who is an immigrant who comes into this country can't get U.S. Tuition, or they can't get the in-state fee. They have to pay international fees.
Oh, wow.
But we're giving money to the highest-ranking schools in the state of Florida who already receive tons and tons of money and who have endowments that are just ridiculously large right now. But
Right.
that's how it is. Here's another one that failed. It's called Finish in 4. It guarantees in-state students who enroll in a state university and maintain full-time schedule that their tuition and fees would not change for 4 years.
And it failed.
So, and it failed. So if you started in 2005 and you came in at a certain rate, you would end in 2009 at a totally different rate. You would get a hike every single year.
Wow.
So they're not making it easy for us to go to school
No, they're not, are they?
or get higher education.
Wow.
So, okay. Let's go to, here's one that I really, really liked. And this has been signed into law. It revamps graduation requirements so that passing certain end-of-course exams is no longer required. It creates 2 new diploma designations, one for students taking industry certification courses and one for students enrolled in college-level courses. So this is good for students who do those vocational programs and finish school. They come out with a trade. This is a really good program, and I'm glad that it's already been signed into law, and we should encourage a lot of people to utilize this.
Awesome. That ends our moment with Jazz.
Yay! Fantastic.
We love Miss Jasmine Burney
learned a
here
lot.
on Real Family Talk.
Yes.
Man. Always brings the news that matters when it comes to politics. Jasmine, tell the people how they can check you out, please.
Okay, so you can reach me on my Facebook at that Jasmine Burney, B as in boy, URNEY. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. That's MIZZ Burney, BURNEY.
Awesome. We thank you again, Miss Jasmine Burney. That, again, ladies and gentlemen, a moment with Jazz. That's going to be coming to you once a month. So be looking for it, a moment with Jazz. We thank you, Miss Jasmine Burney. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's what's happening in the Florida legislature. We're gonna have to come back to a couple of them things, though.
Yeah, we are.
We're gonna definitely have to come back to that. I cannot let that ride. But we're gonna go ahead. Our next guest is actually waiting for us on the phone. How you doing, Mr. Cunningham?
Very good, sir. Very good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you just fine, sir. Just fine. So go do me a favor. Most people, I'm sure, I'm probably not familiar with who you are, sir. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself for me?
Sure, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is William Michael Cunningham. I run a website called blackcrowdfunding.net, among other internet properties. Blackcrowdfunding.net is a crowdfunding website that allows people to finance projects, products, and firms through donations that they receive online. This is a new way of financing certain, again, projects, products, and firms and visions, that sort of thing. Now, my background is that I have an MBA in finance and a master's in economics from University of Chicago, and I have an undergraduate degree in economics from Howard University here in Washington, D.C. I've spent the last 30 years working in a variety of capacities with financial institutions, Freddie Mac, Merrill Lynch, Connecticut Mutual Life up in Hartford, Connecticut, and I've always been concerned with economic development opportunities in low to moderate income communities, and of course in communities of color, specifically African American communities, being an African American myself, of course. So this new tool, crowdfunding, is a way to help people raise money online so that they can finance products, projects, companies, whatever you want, really, as long as the crowd agrees with you. Have I been clear? Is that a good summary?
Yeah, I think that is a good summary, sir. Crowdfunding. Kind of give us the sort of the history of the crowdfunding, if you will. Sort of where did this new venture? I was reading $2.7 billion, I believe I read, was raised from crowdfunding in the year 2012. So
that's correct. That's correct. Worldwide, $2.7 billion was raised online for various efforts, crowdfunding campaigns. Now, crowdfunding, if you think about crowdfunding, I mean, think about the Underground Railroad. That was crowdfunding. That was people making donations to push that project forward. So I contend that crowdfunding really, goes back to the Underground Railroad, and even before that, goes back to the community types of sensitivities that you had in certain African communities, but not exclusively there. I mean, Korean kios, which is a way that Koreans have used to pool resources so that they can finance the opening of restaurants, have been used. There's a long history of collaborative economics in Norway and in Finland. So this is the Irish also have a long history with cooperative economics and getting people who don't have a lot of money to pool a small portion of their money in the service of a greater project.
Awesome. Okay. Now, and now, generally speaking, again, he is the creator of the site blackcrowdfunding.net. Is the name of his website. Now, just give the people a general idea. So the idea is you go on the site, you fill out the form, and take over for me.
Yeah, if you look at the site currently, you'll see a bunch of projects. But the idea is that if you have a project, let's talk about one specifically, the Charles Junction Community Gardens, which was posted to our website by Dorothy Pittman Hughes, who was the co-founder of Ms. Magazine. So she's seeking to raise $5,000 from donations from the people all over the country, indeed all over the world, so that she can enhance her garden, or the gardens, and provide a community service, teaching people in Jacksonville, or working with people in Jacksonville, Florida, as they grow food to address problems of hunger in that community. So you go to the website, you sign up, which involves entering an email address and creating a password. That will give you the opportunity to then go and create a project. So let's say you wanted to raise $50,000 for a church. The organizer or organizers would pick one person. They would go to the website, enter an email and a password, and they would describe their effort. They would say, look, we're trying to create a Baptist church in Jacksonville, and we estimated here are the people who are involved, because what we've seen is that crowdfunding campaigns that have a team are 85% more likely to reach their financial goal than crowdfunding campaigns run by an individual. So they would go on, describe what they're trying to do and what they're going to do with the money. I mean, why do you need $50,000? Wouldn't $20,000 do? So you describe all of that. You describe who you are, and you post the campaign, preferably with a picture. Let's say you have an architectural drawing of the church that you want to create. That would be a good thing to post. Let's say you have a 15 to 30-second video of the members of this prospective church. So you post that online and give people a feel for what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, and most importantly, why they should help you, why they should donate $5, $10, $20 to help move your effort along. Once you do that, you submit that project for review, and I review every project that comes onto the website, every potential project that comes onto the website. And if and when it's approved, then the real work starts, because in order to be successful at crowdfunding, you can't just post a project to a website and expect that people are going to come up with $50,000. You really have to bring your network to bear to raise at least the first 20%, 20 to 30% of the funds that you're seeking to raise. I mean, the talk in the field is that, well, if your friends won't give you $5 and they know you, then I'm not likely to give you $5 either for a project. If your mother won't give you $10 towards your project, then you probably want to rethink what you're doing. And you can see who's donating. All of these websites make the list of people who are donating available, and also you can track it back through Facebook or through look for evidence of the campaign on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and see who's donating and what people are saying about the campaign. So that's a real quick review of how it works. Again, want to make sure I'm clear. Anything I was unclear on?
No. I think he's pretty clear. You guys, don't you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things I liked about it is, like you said, we're not talking about asking people to donate $100 here, $200 there. I mean, obviously the opportunity is there for you to do that, but a lot of the campaigns, I mean, as low as $5, $10, $20. I read one campaign that said, if I could just get 150 people to give me $20, I can meet my goal. Right. And so it's that whole idea that a crowd is helping you push forward whatever your business is. And I know, again, your site just launched, but I know the field is very expansive as far as different sites that are out there that are doing
There are
this.
roughly about 2,500, if you look globally, crowdfunding websites out there. We're at the time. This is a lot. I tell people this is a lot like software was in 1983, where you had 40 different word processing programs in 1983. And eventually they all consolidated into one, really, Word, or Word Perfect. And that's probably what's going to happen here over time. But the great thing about this movement, this field, this new way of raising money right now is that we're seeing great creativity, both on the part of the websites that are offering the service. We're also seeing great creativity with respect to the community. I mean, there's a lot of talent out there in a lot of different communities, women, certainly African Americans. I mean, I think one of the reasons why we launched the site was a conviction that there were a lot of very talented people in that demographic and in our demographic that simply were not given the opportunity with a small dollar amount to show what they can do. And I remain optimistic that that's the case. All of the evidence is, especially if you look at the 20 campaigns that have popped up on the website right now, that is absolutely correct, that there's a great deal of creativity, inspiration out there in the African American community, and all we need in a lot of cases, like you say, is $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. I think we'll do remarkable things. Let me also say this about the site blackcrowdfunding.net. It's not limited to black people. So in other words, you don't have to be black in order to post a campaign, and you certainly don't have to be black in order to donate. to the campaigns on the website. It's much like a Chinese restaurant. You know, you don't have to be Chinese to eat in a Chinese restaurant, but you know the flavor of the food that you're going to get. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing campaigns and efforts, fundraising efforts that are, of course, focused on the African American community, but not exclusively. Excuse me.
Excellent. Now, before you go, you did write a book about crowdfunding. So please plug the book.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. The title of the book is The Jobs Act: Crowdfunding for Small Businesses and Startups. It's on Amazon under my name, William Michael Cunningham. It was published by A Press, which is a computer book publisher out of New York. They had seen an article that I'd written in the Washington Post and got in touch with me about writing a book on the Jobs Act, which is the law that was signed by President Obama on April 5th, 2012, that really, I won't say legalized, because donations-based crowdfunding is legal already, but it certainly put his support behind crowdfunding and made it possible to offer equity shares. And let me. It sounds a little complicated. Let me back up. So there are three types of crowdfunding: donations-based. Hey, I like what you're doing. Here's $10. Thank you. There's rewards-based. Hey, I like what you're doing. Here's $10. Thank you. Here's a T-shirt. And there's equity-based crowdfunding. Hey, I like what you're doing. Here's $10. Great. Here's a share of stock in what I'm doing. You know. So the first two are legal. The last is not fully legal in the U.S. unless you're an accredited investor, that is, an investor with over $1 million in non-real estate assets. So the idea behind the Jobs Act is to make that third type of equity crowdfunding legal for non-accredited investors. That is the rest of us, you know, people who have less than $1 million in stock or bonds, that sort of thing. So that's what the book describes and discusses. It also talks about crowdfunding in general. I go through a lot of the campaigns online, a lot of the successful campaigns, the Pebble Watch. There's a restaurant in Harlem, New York that raised $40,000 for an expansion. I just talk about it in general and also talk about some of the key factors that determine successful crowdfunding campaigns. So again, the Jobs Act, crowdfunding for small businesses and startups, William Michael Cunningham on Amazon.com.
I do have one question for you, Mr. Cunningham. I know that some crowdfunding sites have limitations of time in order to reach your goal, or if you don't reach a certain amount, then you don't receive the funds and different types of regulations like that. Is blackcrowdfunding.com a little different from that, or do you all have similar regulations?
We have similar regulations. It's blackcrowdfunding.net, by the way. That .com was taken, and we're not willing to pay what those people want for that domain name. Yes, with respect to fundraising, there are two ways that you can raise funds with a crowdfunding campaign. Mm-hmm. There's either all or none. So I set a goal. I'm trying to raise $500. And if I only raise $499, then I get nothing, all or none. Or there's take what you can get. And the take what you can get campaign is exactly as it sounds. So I'm trying to raise $500. I raise $499. Mm-hmm. Well, I get the $499 at the end of the campaign. Okay. Now, our limits, you can have a campaign that goes anywhere from 20 days to 180 days. Mm-hmm. I will say this in terms of what we are finding on our website. We're extending out the time limit. Most campaigns successful campaigns actually run about 30 days. You don't want to have a campaign that runs too long, because people will take a look at it and they'll say, "Oh, I'll get back to that," and they never do. But we're finding, and this is, I think, a little difference in our demographic, that the donations time periods are taking a little longer. So I think successful campaigns on our website will probably run about 60 days, a little longer than the average. But that's okay. And I think that's the case for a number of reasons. Number one, it's a new website. We launched on April 7th. And number two, because, again, I'm African American, so I feel I could say this, but black people kind of, will think about it, before they actually donate some money, and that's fine. This is a learning experience for everybody. So again, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, Mr. Cunningham, I want to again thank you for coming on and talking about your website, blackcrowdfunding.net. You got any closing words you want to leave us with?
No. Again, I'm really optimistic, as I've been saying about the crowdfunding and the African American community and communities of color. There's $1 trillion in wealth in the disposable income, actually, in the African American community. That has real power. I think that we will really change the nature of the economic position of African Americans in this country if we can come together in a collaborative way, as we have in the past, to support each other in our ventures.
All right, there it is. That is certainly an effort, Mr. Cunningham, I agree with wholeheartedly. I think as a community, if we can come together and begin to support each other more consistently, I think we will move beyond some of what seems to be fences, brick walls, whatever you want to call it, that we seem to encounter on a regular basis. So I agree with that. BlackCrowdfunding.net is the name of the website. Please check it out. If you got something you're trying to do, check it out, see if it'll work for you, and let's participate and help some other people achieve their dreams as well. We want to thank you again, Mr. William Cunningham. Again, I thank you for coming on, sir.
No, thank you all very much. Really appreciate it.
All right, so you have a good evening now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, now, you all do the same.
All right now. All right, speaking of crowdfunding, we actually have a young man that's going to come on tonight and tell us about his crowdfunding campaign that he has on. Go ahead, Jeremy. Why don't you introduce the next guest?
Oh, well, the next guest, his name is Jan DeGar. Him and his wife, Ariel. They started a baking business. But he's a classmate of mine from high school. I actually haven't seen him since then. So it was just good to hear from him and hear what they're doing and how it was tying into the show. So, Jan, if you're on, you go ahead.
Thank you, guys. Jeremy and everybody in the studio, thanks for having me on tonight.
Not a problem, sir.
Glad to
Not a
hear
problem.
you.
So go ahead and tell us about your crowdfunding campaign.
All right. Well, first of all, let me start off by saying we're located in Atlanta, Georgia. Both my wife and I are products of Orlando, Florida. My wife graduated from Evans. I graduated from West Orange High School.
Evans.
And, from those great foundations, we went off and we went to college. I'm a graduate of Morehouse College here in Atlanta, Georgia, and my wife is a graduate of Tuskegee University in Alabama. And so, from that, we kicked around a little bit. We went to and started teaching. We actually taught in Orlando school systems together. That's where we met. And from there, we said, let's go back to Atlanta and let's see if we can kind of get something going for ourselves. And my wife has a great talent for baking. She focuses on like wedding cakes and specialty cakes, like the type of stuff you might see on TV, on those nice design stuff on TV. And we just was starting to kick around. We're doing good with business, and we was like, what can we do that's a little bit different? Because everybody's on this food truck kick,
Right.
And so we said we wanted to do something different than your typical food truck. And so we were milling around on what we could do, and we was like, hey, we like teaching, and we like showing people how to do things. She was teaching anatomy and physiology. I teach social studies, American government, geography. I was teaching the African history course up here not too long ago, and we were like, what can we do? How can we blend the two together? And so we came up with this food truck idea where we'll be doing a mobile education truck. So a festival is going on. You're there with your family, a great family event. We'll pull up with our truck. We'll show you guys how to make a simple treat that you can do at home, and dress it up and make it all nice. But stuff that you probably already have at your house, So it's not going to cause you to have to necessarily go out and buy anything new or special to put on this big fanfare for your treat. and we'll teach you there at no cost, and just kind of get out around town, kind of give back with this mobile education truck.
Awesome. So now, where can we find your campaign at?
Okay, we're using the Black Startup campaign crowdfunding source. Black Startup, they just launched May the 6th. This Monday is when they started their program. So if anybody wants to go to support our program with some others that they launched, they would go to blackstartup.com. On the home page, you'll see our flyer for our campaign, which will let you. It's called "Learn to Bake on Wheels," is what we titled our campaign. And from there, you can go and see. We have a video. You see how many people have already funded us, and you can start to fund it yourself at this. Right now, because our campaign is live. We actually have 59 days left for our campaign to go on. So,
and how much money are you trying to raise?
We're just trying to raise $33,000 so that we can go ahead and purchase. We've identified the food truck that we wanted, and so we just need $3,000 to acquire that food truck, and then we'll have to go ahead and renovate it out and dress it up real nice, and then go ahead and start putting it on the road, driving around town.
Awesome. All right, so one more time, you find the campaign at
blackstartup.com.
Blackstartup.com. Go ahead.
Right. Let me give you the whole URL, so that you could go directly to our campaign. So it will be blackstartup.com/campaign/detail/1128.
You better say that one more time, brother.
Yeah, I definitely say it one more time. Yeah, I know it's a lot. It's a lot on that. But it's initially it's just blackstartup.com, right? And you could definitely get to us from there. It's the Confections campaign, right? But if you want to type in the whole URL yourself, you can go to blackstartup.com/campaign/detail/1128.
All right, man. They're going to get a food truck and go to different festivals and events and teach people how to bake. I like that idea. That's not a bad idea. Yes. That's one way to use your education, brother. That is definitely clever.
Good luck to you all. Good luck.
Entrepreneurship is what I love.
That's
right.
What
I love. That's what we're trying to do, because I'm still teaching, so I continue to tell my kids about things like this, these efforts, like with the major push now of trying to help build wealth for the African-American entrepreneur. And so, I tell them, hey, it's out there, go get your dreams, and, try to be that example for them while we're in the classroom. So we're definitely hoping, that we get our funding, our project campaign funded. We really want it to get overfunded, if at all possible. But, if we can get that mark, it'll do big things for our business.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Again, that's blackstartup.com is where you can find their campaign, and the name of the business is Confections. Is that right? Awesome, man. And you can if you go to their campaign, they actually have a video up that you can watch where they're talking about it. They also have bios on themselves so that you can see who they are and what exactly they're trying to do. So good luck to him, man. Crowdfunding, we love it.
Their website is myandcreations.com. That's myandcreations.com. myandcreations.com. They have all their links up there, the contact information, all that good stuff.
Excellent.
I'm going to post this stuff later on Facebook and Twitter, too. So
excellent, man. Facebook and Twitter. We love it, right? Facebook and Twitter, man. Good show tonight, I think, man.
Excellent show.
Yes.
Excellent
Very
show
informative.
tonight. Very informative, man. Crowdfunding, it's not new. It's been around in existence for a number of years, but like I said, there's been this big push, as you can see. Mr. William Cunningham, he started his website. Like I said, it launched in April. I guess blackstartup.com just launched in May, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, the community is reaching out because this is, I think, something that we can take and build forward and move forward and get things moving so that we're not stagnant and we're not sitting back wondering, how are we going to get this done? Like I said, a lot of the campaigns, you're talking about $5 and $10 donations, $20 donations to raise a small amount of money to get you started, and then you kind of make your run from there. I think it's a great idea, something that we ought to take advantage of. BlackCrowdfunding.net. It's Mr. Cunningham's site. BlackStartup.com is the site that this gentleman's on. Check him out. And there's a lot of others. Like they said, in 2012, there was $2.7 billion raised worldwide from crowdfunding, from people donating 10, 20, maybe a little bit more to someone to help them push forward and achieve their dream. $2.7 billion. See, I don't even need $2.7 billion.
Right.
I need a 0.01% of $2.7 billion. That's
I could use the $2.7 billion.
I mean, find something to do with it.
I'll take it, but
I got plans for any amount. Send it
So it's obviously a viable source. We just need to check it out. Do your homework as anything. Those certainly aren't the only two websites that exist. As Mr. Cunningham said, there's over 2,500 out there. So check it out. Find what's going to work for you. Figure out what kind of campaign you want, whether it's donation-based, as he talked about, rewards-based. And it's as simple as, like he said, rewards-based. You offer $10. Someone donates $10, and then you offer them a T-shirt or whatever other item you want to offer. I've seen Jan's website. They're doing a rewards-based crowdfunding campaign. So it starts for as little as a shout out, as he says, on the crowdfunding site. And it goes all the way up to, like they said, they own a baking company. And so it goes as far as to, depending on the donation amount, they offer baking you a wedding cake or some type of cake, or birthday cake, actually, I think it said. Offering you a birthday cake for donating. I don't remember the dollar amount, but it is one of the rewards that they're offering. In addition to, they have T-shirt offerings as well for certain percentages. And I think the biggest reward is the T-shirt, some other little things, as well as 5 birthday cakes, I believe it said. And their birthday cakes feed about 50 people, they say. So that's a lot of birthday cake. And you get 5 of them for the biggest donation. So that is a lot of birthday cake. But check it out. Check it out, crowdfunding. Like I said, for those entrepreneurs just looking for that little helping hand, this might be what you're looking for. So please check it out. BlackCrowdfunding.net is Mr. Cunningham's site. BlackStartup.com is where you can find Jan's campaign. And we also, before I leave, I don't want to forget Mrs. Jasmine Burney, A Moment with Jazz. We also thank her for coming down and doing that as well. Again, we will see her next month as well. We can't wait to see what she has for us next month. So that should be good. Just so the playoffs are on. Everybody's watching, right? The Heat lost game 1. The Knicks won tonight. So that series is tight. What else we got? I heard the San Antonio went down last night. Is that what I heard?
No, they ended up winning in double overtime.
Oh, they did win in double overtime.
Manu Ginobili.
I just kept hearing all morning. I was just hearing about Steph Curry and how magical he's been in the games. But okay, they didn't actually pull it off though. Okay, but that's certainly more work than I'm sure the Spurs were prepared for.
Mm-hmm. They can't guard them. They have nobody to guard.
I can't stand the Spurs. My father and I have this rivalry. He loves the Spurs, and I can't stand them. So that's our time to talk mess. But go ahead.
The Spurs, man, you gotta love the Spurs. They're old school. They are old school, man. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. We will see you next week. This is WOKB 1680 AM. I'm signing off. This is your host, Jay Real. Again, follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Check out the website, RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com. And YouTube. I was like, what am I forgetting? Yeah, check out the YouTube, Real Family Talk as well. All the shows are up there. We're keeping it moving here. See you next week. You can follow us on Facebook, Real Family Talk. You can follow us on Twitter, Real Family Talk. The website, realfamilytalk.weebly.com.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.